Alright, so this week we're going to be talking about the last fruit of the Spirit, and that fruit of the Spirit is self-control. So our Bible verse for this week is from 1 Corinthians 10:13, and it says, "No temptation has overtaken you except what is common to mankind. And God is faithful. He will not let you be tempted beyond what you can bear. But when you are tempted, He will also provide a way out so that you can endure it." And this verse is just talking about how sometimes we might be tempted to do things. We might be tempted to be mean to one of our siblings, or we might be tempted to sneak some candy from the candy bowl. But we have to let our self-control keep us from doing those things that are not right. And so for a little demonstration this week, you can try this at your house, and I'll let you know what you need. You need a glass that is probably not actually made of glass. I have a little water bottle sort of thing without the lid, and it needs to be a pretty wide opening at the top. And then you need a tennis ball or any other ball that's a little heavier, and it needs to be able to fit inside of the glass you have. And then you need a toilet paper tube, a paper towel tube. If you have a paper towel tube, you might need to cut it a little bit so it's not as long. And then a bowl. Preferably none of these things should be glass so you don't accidentally break something. So for this experiment on self-control, I'm going to turn the camera here so you guys can see what I'm doing. So you need to take the glass here and put the bowl on top, and then the toilet paper tube, and then the tennis ball on top here. So the goal is to get the tennis ball into the glass here. But if you rip it out if you rip the bowl out too fast, the tennis ball does not make it into the glass here. But also, if you pull the bowl out too slow, the tennis ball doesn't make it in the glass then either. So you need to have just the right amount of self-control so that when you pull the bowl out, the tennis ball makes it into the glass. Like that. So when I had a lot of energy pulling the bowl out, I didn't have the right amount of self-control, so the ball ended up flying across my room. And when I pulled it out too slow, and I didn't have the right amount of self-control, the ball ended up just bouncing across my desk. So with the right amount of self-control, when I pulled the bowl out, the ball ended up right here in the glass. So self-control is something that we all need. And so some examples of times when you need to use self-control is maybe in school, your teacher gives you the assigned seat and it ends up being right next to your best friend. Well, in that case, you need self-control to not talk to them all the time. You need to have self-control to be able to listen to the teacher and not get distracted talking. And also, maybe you are out at recess and you ended up doing something not so great, and you ended up getting some time sitting along the fence. And the teacher's not looking, and you could easily get back up and start playing, and the teacher would never see you. But it takes self-control to stay on the fence and do the right thing. So for our craft today, we're going to make something that you can hang in your room. And so you're going to need some paper, some ribbon, some yarn, something like that to attach some of the paper together. You're probably going to need more than one piece of paper. And then a marker, a crayon, whatever you want to write with. And scissors. So I'm going to go grab those things, and then I'll be back. Alright, so we're going to be making this craft that reminds us to have self-control. So there's a piece of paper that says, "I will," and then hanging off of it are 3 different papers that say, "Tame my tongue," which just means watching what you're saying, thinking about what you say before you do, because you use your tongue to talk. And then the next paper says, "Use my hands gently." So anytime that you're doing something like the experiment that we used, you can't be rambunctious with your hands. You have to do things gently and make sure you're being kind. And then the last piece of paper says, "And consider the consequences." So that's just a reminder that if we don't tame our tongue and watch what we say and use our hands gently, that there might be some consequences that come out of it. So the first thing that you're going to do is cut out of one of the pieces of paper, cut a rectangle, a half circle, anything like that. Whatever you want the shape to be that says I will. And it has to be pretty big because we're going to hang 3 other papers off of it. So I think I'm going to cut mine in a half circle. So I'm going to do that and then I'll be back. Alright, so I have my half circle here. It's a little lopsided, so if you're going to do a half circle, make it look better than mine. And I have my marker here, and so I'm going to write on it, I will So here I have I will written on it. And then, so I'm going to set this aside. And then what I'm going to do here is I'm going to take my other piece of paper that I have, and I'm going to fold it in half twice. So first I have it horizontal, so it's longer side to side. I'm just going to fold it in half. And then I'm going to fold it in half again, but the opposite way. Alright, so now you have a small little piece of paper thing that's folded. And whatever you want the shapes to be for the 3 little papers hanging off of your I will paper, you're going to draw that on here and cut it out. So I think that I'm just going to do a circle. So I'm going to draw a circle in the middle of this, a nice big circle that takes up almost all of the paper here, and then cut it out, and I'll end up with 4 circles. Alright, so I cut it out, and now I have 4 circles here. I only need 3 of them. So if one of them has this one has some pen lines around the edge because I traced a circle. So I'm going to take this one and set it aside and not use it. So I'm still left with 3 circles. So on the first circle, you're going to write tame my tongue, and tame is spelled T-A-M-E, and then my is M-Y, and then tongue is T-O-N-G-U-E. So I have tame my tongue written on here. And then the next one, you are going to write use my hands gently. So your use is U-S-E, my is M-Y, hands is spelled H-A-N-D-S, and gently is G-E-N-T-L-Y. So then there's this one, use my hands gently, and the last one you're going to write consider consequences. So consider is spelled C-O-N-S-I-D-E-R, and consequences, it's a big word. So you need a lot of space for it, so don't write too big. And it's spelled C-O-N-S-E-Q-U-E-N-C-E-S. I even almost ran out of room for it. So your 3 circles should say, tame my tongue, use my hands gently, and consider consequences. So you want to put them in the order, tame my tongue first, so it goes on the left, whatever side is the left. The camera makes everything backwards. And then in the middle is going to go use my hands gently, and then on the right is going to be consider consequences. So what you need to do is cut a hole in the top of all of these circles. So you can either use a hole puncher if you have one at home, or you can gently fold it in half. Use your parents' help for this. And then, so you're going to gently fold it in half, and then at the top, you're just going to cut a little bit of it. So then when you open it up, there's a there's a little tiny slit there. And you also need to put little slits in this one. So you're going to lay them all down on the table here. So I'm gonna do that here. So I have this laying down. So Tame My Tongue goes on the left, Use My Hands Gently goes in the middle, and Consider Consequences on the right. So I line it all up, make sure they all fit here, and then I'm going to make a little mark. So right here is where the slit is in this, so I'm just going to go straight up and put a little dot, and then straight up from the one in the middle and put a little dot, and straight up from the left one and put a dot. And then I'm going to do the same thing and just gently fold it right over the dot. Cut another slit. So then what you're going to do with the ribbon or the yarn or whatever you have, I have some yarn here, it's some funky yarn. You are going to cut off a piece that when you double it over, it's about the length you want it from, the length you want to hang down from. So I don't want mine terribly long, so I'm just going to cut off a few inches here. And I'm going to do 3 of them, and I'm going to line them up and make them all the same length so they all hang down at the same height. So this is about how long I made mine. And what you're going to do is you're going to feed it through a little slit or the hole you have here. And then you're going to do the same thing. So let me angle my camera down actually so you can see. So I have it going through. So I have the 2 ends here, and I'm going to put one end through the slit here. And I'm going to pull it through. And then you're just going to tie it together in a knot. You might need your parents' help to tie this knot together too. So now we just have to make it so you can hang it from your wall. So you're going to do a little fold right in half here. And then at the top, another little slit. And then you're going to get a decently long piece of yarn, string, cut it. So mine's pretty long here. Doesn't even all fit on the camera. Yeah. And then you're going to feed it through this slit here. Pull it through. And then just tie the ends together. Just like this. So this piece of yarn that I got is pretty long. So you make yours shorter. And then you can hang it on your wall, on the edge of your mirror. And so that's all I have for the last week of the Fruits of the Spirit. So I hope you all remember to have self-control when you're interacting with anybody or doing anything. And I also wanted to let you guys know that this is my last week of Sunday school lessons, as I'm heading to college in about 3 weeks. So I hope you all have a good start to the school year if I don't see you before then. And I hope you have a good rest of the summer. And so I'll see you all sometime, either before I go to college or after I come back for break. So yeah, I'll see you guys later. Bye.